I think the next step in this project would be to design GUI using Scene Builder. So first let's add Fxml file to our project. So I'm going to right click the package name and new, and now I have this item here, empty Fxml. If you don't have this item on your menu, you can always go to other and then JavaFX and use empty Fxml. Doesn't matter. So whichever way is easier and faster. Okay, so I'm just going to say next. Fxml file. I decided to use FX calculator. Of course, it has to be matching the Fxml loader string right here. So this is FX calculator. And next, we will generate controller later when the basic GUI is complete. So I'm just going to click next, and the cascading style sheets, I'm not going to use anything custom, so just click finish here. Alright, so that's pretty basic start. So in terms of my design, I'm thinking about an entry form that may look like this. So this is my idea. So maybe we have a text field to enter an expression. We also have another text field to display the result of that expression evaluation. And we have a button evaluate. And if you don't like this interface, you can change it any way you like. I'm just thinking about these basic controls for user input. So I plan to name this text field text expression, text result, and then button named button evaluate. And of course, as we need to add a handler to this button, so I'm going to name it onClick evaluate. So everything is very, very basic. All right. So I need to open this Fxml file in Scene Builder. So I'm just going to right click the tab and copy file path. And I already have this Scene Builder application running. So file and open and copy and paste the name of Fxml file. So we have our anchor pane. For the background container, we can have the grid pane. So I'm just going to drag and drop this grid pane. So it creates by default 3 rows and 2 columns, which is, by the way, exactly what I need for my design. So let's resize it a little bit and start adding our labels. So switching to controls, let's add a button. So the button will be sitting right here. So the next thing, we can add our labels for the expression and another label for the result of the expression. And then the 2 text boxes. So we'll use text boxes. It's called text field. Right, so this will be one text field and another text field for the result. So these are all of my controls. And well, these labels are aligned to the left by default. So I'll select this column in the grid, and for the horizontal alignment, select to align to the right. And I think this entire grid needs some spacing around these controls. So let's select this here like this. And for the layout, we have some gap and padding pixels that we can specify. So I'm just going to use 10 for every gap and every margin that exists in this grid. So this naturally adds some spacing to all of the controls. So this is just a better looking arrangement. So let's update the labels. The first label, properties, text. We're going to use expression. For the second label, we're going to use result. Now we can update our text boxes. So one interesting property here is the prompt text, which appears like a faint grayed out text to prompt the user what is expected for them to enter here. So just maybe try something like this, like x equals 3 plus 5 multiplied by 2. And then let's switch to the code properties for this text box. We just need fxid. Fxid will be text expression. Another text box is this, which is the result. So we'll just give it fxid text result. And we also have our button, fxid button evaluate. I prefer to use those short 3-letter prefixes for all gadgets on the form, like txt for text box, btn for buttons, lbl for labels, and so forth. Our click handler method will be named onClickEvaluate, and the button text needs to be also updated, so the button will be evaluate. So let's save our changes. File, save. So our XML file gets updated very nicely. And I think the last thing that I want to update here is the width of the columns of our grid. So something like this may be good. Okay, so we'll just save it again. Let's go and generate our controller. So selecting Fxml file in our package tree view, right click and make controller. That's a great choice. Okay, so the controller is generated. We have our Fxml button, text field, references, and onClickEvaluate. So for quick testing, what we can add here is a quick test of the behavior of our text boxes and the button. So something like this, text result, set text, text expression, get text. Okay, so we can save the changes and do a quick test. Hopefully everything works fine. So this is our form. We probably need to adjust the width. Okay, so we can do it right away in our main app. Perhaps we can try 600. It really doesn't matter. Depends on your screen resolution and how you like it to appear. So I'll just make it 600 for now, but actually we probably don't have to specify this explicitly anymore. We can just use a different constructor that creates scene from a root and inherits everything from our scene builder properties. So we'll try that next. Okay, so let's test the basic functionality. So we'll just say hello and evaluate. And so hello is copied over here. So hello world. Again, evaluate copies over here. So since we're going to be typing in some expressions like 1 plus 2 and so forth, it'd be nice if we could hit enter key in the expression field and evaluate it without the need to use the mouse to click the button. So let's work on this part. It's actually pretty simple. Let's go back to our scene builder design, and just as we do it with the button in the code, we specify that the default action should be onClickEvaluate. If we select this field, the text expression field, we can also add this onClickEvaluate right here for our text expression input field, because the default action for the text field is an enter key on the user keyboard. So whenever the user hits the enter key, this will be invoked as well. So I'm assuming it's going to be the same handler, right? So the same handler right here, onClickEvaluate. So let's give this a try. I'm going to say File and Save. Okay, so our Fxml should be updated. Let's make sure that we generate the controller again. Right click and make controller. Okay, so the controller, everything is updated. So let's test this again. And so now I type hello and hit enter, and now the enter key works just like this button. Okay, so this works, and here we go. And as I said, if we want to just inherit the width of the design that came from the scene builder, we can just replace this line and make it look like this. Copy it and just use the simple constructor that's not using width and height, just like that. Okay, so quick test. Alright, so that's the default width and height that came from here. You can see it matches the same box that we had in our scene builder to begin with. So I'm just going to keep this as this is, and the graphical user interface can be improved indefinitely, so you just have to stop somewhere. I consider that our GUI design is complete.